Discussion in digestive system and large intestine. Here we will be discussing the parts and function of the next part of digestive system, which is large intestine. So now let's discuss first the major components of large intestine. Starting with, it composed with several distinctive parts. Number one is so we have cecum, colon, and ascending colon. In colon, we have different 4 types or consisting of colon. We have ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and sigmoid colon. And of course, we also have the last part, which is the rectum. So let's discuss it one by one. So let's have first the cecum. So cecum basically is the first section of the large intestine. So as you can see, this in this area, this is your cecum. It has it looks like a pouch, or it look like a sack or a bag. It is 2 inches long, and the role of the cecum is to taking in digested liquid from the ileum, or in the small intestine, the last part of the small intestine, which is the ileum, and pass it on the colon. Okay, usually cecum usually connects the small intestine to the colon. So aside from digesting a liquid that came from the ileum, it is also the connection between the small intestine to the colon. Okay, so that is cecum. And usually the digested liquid that we usually digest in here in cecum is also called as the body fluid. So that is the major function of the cecum. So now let's move forward on the section of on another parts of the large intestine, which is the colon. So the major section of the large intestine is the colon, or which the major function is to place water reabsorption and to absorb salt when it is needed. So when we say reabsorption, so after the water is being absorbed in the small intestine, it will continue to the large intestine by the means of the colon. So these are the components of the colon. So meaning to say, the colon consists of 4 parts. We have ascending, transverse, descending, and sigmoid. So let's discuss it one by one. When we say ascending, it is the first portion, and it pushes any undigested debris up from cecum. So undigested debris or undigested food can usually occur with your stool if the material in the food that is indigestible. So meaning to say, if the food is not been well digested, so that's will happen to the undigested food or undigested debris. So meaning to say, the ascending, the purpose of ascending is to push the undigested food up from the cecum. Okay, so it is just under the right lower end of the liver. So that is ascending colon. So transverse colon is the second one. It is used to travel food from left to right, just under your stomach. So here, transverse colon, that's why it's called transverse, because it is much more focused on the transportation from the left and right under your stomach. So the food travels by the means of transverse colon. Okay, next we also have descending colon. Descending colon is the third portion of the colon. If the ascending pushes undigested food, here it pushes contents from down to the lower left side of your abdomen. So this contents, it travels the food down to the lower left side of your abdomen. That is the purpose of having descending colon. Here, the last one, we have sigmoid colon. This is the final. It is usually an S-shaped length of the colon here, this portion, and it empties into the rectum. So after the contents or the food already been in the left side of your abdomen, it will passes through in the sigmoid colon, and it will empties your rectum. Okay, so that is the components of your colon. Next one is the final section, which is the rectum. So usually rectum is the final, as I've said. It measure 1 to 1.6 inches or 2.5 centimeter to 4 centimeter. It actually the leftover or the canal of your waste collects waste product or waste food. After the digestion, diba, we usually have the so-called discretion or yung secretion natin ng waste dito nangyayari sa rectum. Siya yung canal natin ng mga dumi. So it is usually expanding the rectum, and it also emptied through the anus, or ang puerta, or ang puwet natin banda, the circle one, that is your anus. So rectum is like a canal that usually transport what? Waste product. Okay, so what is the major function of large intestine? It usually absorb water, like the same way in the small intestine. It usually absorb vitamin the same way with small intestines, but the differences here is in the large intestine, it prepares your food that has been already been secreted, yung ma-waste mo na. So yan yung kaibahan nila. Sa small intestine, absorption of nutrients coming from your food nandyan na. Sa large intestine, dito yung waste products mo. Okay? Kasi bakit? Dito na nadadaloy at papunta sa anus natin. So what particular vitamins that has been absorbed here in the large intestine? We have vitamin K and biotin that are absorbed back into the body. So that is particularly on the vitamins that been absorbed in the large intestine. So aside from that, it also reduces acidity. If in the small intestine, we have a acidic process. Here it will reduce acidity. So meaning to say, it is much more on fatty acid cause in acidic environment. It produces, or large intestine produces alkaline solution to what? To cleanse the acidic, to cleanse and reduce the acidity that we have. We also have the fourth one is to protect from the infection. So large intestine is the one who actually help us to protect from infections. Okay, so meaning to say, it usually prevents harmful bacteria that being absorbed by our food or by our body. So when the food enter in our body, the nutrients, all the nutrients, mineral, vitamins are already been absorbed by the small intestine. The larger intestine is the one who actually secrete waste and who actually identify and classify what? Bacteria. Okay, it prevents harmful bacteria that can have in our body. Then we also have to produce antibodies. It also produces antibodies, help to boost immunity. So here in the large intestine, large intestine is usually produces what? Antibodies, and antibodies, as we all know, is the one who actually boosts or help to boost our immunity. So it also believed that the appendix may have been the major producer of the antibodies on some point. So what is this appendix? So appendix is usually a small finger-shaped pouch of your intestinal tissue. It is basically located between the small intestine, which is in the cecum, and the large intestine, which is in the colon. So that is the appendix. Okay. So that is the major function of large intestine. So now let's move forward to the last part of our discussion in digestive system, and that is accessory organ. So accessory organ basically support the digestive system but are not part of digestive tract. So what does it mean? These organs secretes fluids into the digestive tract and are connected by the ducts. So the accessory organs include liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. So meaning to say here, so since we are now in the secretion process or secretion part, accessory organs also is the one who actually helps us to secrete fluids and secrete waste. So let's proceed to understanding to understand what are those part of the accessory organ. Let's start with the liver. Liver is the largest organ. It is about a mass of 1.5 kilogram. Liver produces bile. When we say bile, it is a greenish yellow pigment made up of bile pigment and bile salt. It breaks down old red blood cells. So that is your liver. What is the major function of the liver? So the main function of the liver is to store what? Fat-soluble vitamins and handle what? Cholesterol homeostasis. So that is the major role or the main function of the liver. Okay? So it's like a storage of the fatty acid that we have. And usually it breaks down what? It breaks down it breaks down blood, and it usually balances and creates the nutrients to metabolize it. Okay? So that is the liver. So next to the liver, we have gallbladder. So gallbladder is another major or another type of accessory organ that usually it is also a storage sac or a storage bag. The bile is secreted into it. When we say bile, it is a greenish yellow pigment that is usually located in the liver. The bile is stored here. How it works: food containing fats enters the digestive tract, and the salt are secreted into the small intestine to digest fats. So the bile here has emulsifies fats in partly digested food. Thereby, it is assisting their absorption. So here in the gallbladder, usually it's much more focused on the secretion of the bile. So when we say bile, it is came from the liver. Okay, it is located from the liver. So the secretion of the bile, the storage of the bile is in this accessory organ, and that is gallbladder. So as I've said, to much more explain it in an easiest way, when we say gallbladder, it is usually holds a digestive fluid, and that digestive fluid is called bile. That usually can be released by your small intestine. So that is the gallbladder. And next, we have the pancreas. Pancreas secretes a number of different enzymes into the small intestine. What is the rule? Is to digest carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. It also secretes bicarbonate ions, and the rule of it is to neutralize the chemicals that being mentioned here. Number one is the hydrochloric acid, and the pH or the changes of potential hydrogen here is from 7 to 8. So the normal range of here, or the role of pancreas, is to change the pH scale of the chemical process that has been located in the pancreas, which is the hydrochloric acid. Okay, so the pancreas will secrete about 1.0 liters of pancreatic fluid per day. Okay, so that is pancreas. So pancreas is the secretion process, okay, of the digestive system. Usually here in pancreas, the enzyme has been break down. What a Jose enzyme, as I've said, it belongs to sugar, fats, and starches. Okay, so that is all about pancreas. And I think that is the last part of my discussion pertaining to the digestive system. If you have questions and clarifications, you can raise or ask it in our group chat, or you can direct message me if you want. So thank you and enjoy watching my video.